I called y'all. I'm standing on my own porch. That's it.
Drop the attitude, sir. Hands where I can see him.
They're right here. I'm not going anywhere.
Deputy, maybe we just hear him out. He said there were threats.
I heard what he said.
The call's still open. You can talk to the dispatcher yourself.
Let's take a look, all right?
They told a black man to step off his own porch, barefoot, phone shaking in his hand. That a white deputy stood below him with a gun half drawn, smirking like the night belonged to him. The officer said, "You fit the description." The man said, "Of who?" They laughed. The camera blinked red. What those cops didn't know, what nobody on that street knew, was that the quiet man they were about to break had once commanded men in war and carried secrets that could end careers in a single call. And when the porch light flickered on, everything changed. Before we go any further, if stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe right now, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, because this story, it could have happened anywhere. Put the phone down. Now. Deputy Trent Hargreaves' voice cut through the Georgia dusk like a blade. Sure. Cold. Certain. Isaiah Coleman stood still on the top step of his porch, one bare foot on splintered wood, the other curled against a loose nail he'd meant to fix for months. His phone buzzed once in his palm. He didn't look at it. "I'm calling because they threatened me," Isaiah said calmly. His voice was low, tired. "I ain't done nothing wrong." Hargreave laughed, short and mean. "You always say that." Behind the deputy, a younger officer hovered. His name tag read Kyle Benton. His hands shook just enough to notice. A single porch light glowed above Isaiah's head, weak and yellow, buzzing like it might give up at any second. The street was quiet except for cicadas screaming in the trees and one street light down the block that blinked on and off, like it couldn't decide if this place was worth lighting. "This your house?" Hargreave asked, already knowing the answer but wanting to hear Isaiah say it. "Yes, sir." Hargreave took a step closer to the porch. "Too close." "Then why you acting like a suspect?" Isaiah swallowed. Isaiah Coleman was 38 years old. 6'4", built like he once lifted men for fun. Now he lifted air units onto rooftops in 100-degree heat. His hands were big, scarred. Grease still sat under his nails from work that morning. He wore a faded gray t-shirt and dark work pants. No shoes. No weapons. Just a phone and a porch that had been his refuge since his brother died. Isaiah didn't talk much anymore. After his little brother, Marcellus, got shot outside a gas station 3 years back. No arrest, no answers. Isaiah learned silence could keep you alive longer than truth. He'd come home early that night because the neighbors across the street had been yelling again. Threats. Slurs. Promises shouted across fences when they thought nobody was recording. Isaiah finally called it in. "And now this." "Hands where I can see them," Hargreaves snapped. Isaiah slowly lowered his phone and held both hands out in front of him. "I'm on my own property," he said. "I called you." Kyle Benton shifted his weight. "Trent, maybe we should." "Shut up, Kyle," Hargreaves said without looking back. The body cam blinked red. Hargreaves' eyes dragged over Isaiah's body. Slow. Judging. Like he was reading a report that already said guilty. "Got any warrants, Isaiah?" he asked like they were old friends. "No, sir." "Drugs in the house?" "No, sir." "Guns?" Isaiah paused. "I own a legal firearm," he said carefully. "Locked up. Inside." That was enough. Hargreaves' hand snapped to his holster. "See," he said to Kyle. "Always armed." Isaiah felt his chest tighten. He'd been here before. Not this porch, but this moment. This tone. This edge where one wrong word could turn wood into a coffin. "I follow the law," Isaiah said. "Same as you." Hargreaves scoffed. "You people love saying that." Kyle's head jerked up. "Sir." "Don't," Isaiah said softly, looking at Kyle now. Not angry. Just tired. Let him finish. Hargreaves stepped onto the first porch step. The boards creaked. "You don't tell me what to do," he said. "Not tonight. Not ever." Neighbors peeked through curtains. A screen door across the street opened, then closed. Nobody spoke. Isaiah's heart beat steady. Slower than it should have been. Because he'd learned something a long time ago. Fear feeds men like Hargreave. And Isaiah refused to feed him. For a moment, the cicadas faded. Isaiah remembered desert wind. Sand in his teeth. Radios crackling with half-spoken orders. Men looking at him, waiting. Captain Coleman, they used to call him. He remembered dragging a wounded soldier behind cover with bullets snapping inches from his head. Remembered choosing who lived when there wasn't time for everyone. He remembered promises signed in ink so black it swallowed light. He blinked. The porch came back. The deputy still stood there, high on power. I'm gonna need you to step down here, Hargreaves said. Now. For what? Isaiah asked. Because I said so. Kyle swallowed hard. Trent, the call log shows he's the complainant. Hargreaves turned on him fast. You questioning me? No, sir. Good. He looked back at Isaiah. Last chance. The porch light flickered. Isaiah took a slow breath. No, he said. The word landed soft. Heavy. Hargreaves froze. Then smiled. That's resisting. Kyle's stomach dropped. Isaiah didn't move. The night leaned in. Isaiah looked past Hargreaves. Down the street. A black SUV rolled to a stop near the blinking streetlight. Quiet. No sirens. The engine cut. Hargreaves noticed too late. A door opened. Then another. Kyle's radio crackled to life. Unit 12, stand by. Hargreaves frowned. Who called that in? Isaiah finally looked at his phone. I did, he said. Hargreaves laughed. You don't get backup. The SUV's headlights stayed off. A tall man stepped out. Older. Clean cut. Wearing a simple jacket. He walked slow. Confident. Kyle's breath caught when he saw the badge clipped at the man's belt. Not local. Not county. Federal. The man stopped at the edge of the yard. Evening, Captain Coleman, he said calmly. Silence slammed the porch. Hargreaves turned. Who the hell are you? The man didn't look at him. Isaiah lowered his hands. Evening, Director Hale. Kyle's knees nearly buckled. The night went quiet in a way Isaiah hadn't felt in years. Not peaceful, heavy. Deputy Trent Hargreaves stood frozen halfway up the porch steps, his hand still hovering near his gun like it forgot what it was supposed to do. His mouth opened, then closed again. For the first time since he arrived, he didn't control the air. Captain? Hargreaves said slowly, testing the word like it might bite him. This some kind of joke? The man by the SUV didn't smile. His name was Elias Hale. Mid-50s. Gray at the temples. Eyes that looked like they had read too many reports about things that never made the news. This is not a joke, Hale said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. And you are on camera. Kyle Benton's body cam light blinked brighter in the dark, like it wanted to be noticed. Isaiah stayed where he was. Hands still out. Back straight. Come. Director Hale, Isaiah said again. Didn't expect you this fast. Hale nodded. You said the porch light was on. I knew that meant trouble. That line cut deeper than any shout. Hargreaves' face flushed. Sir, with respect, this is a local matter. Hale finally looked at him. The look was not loud that it didn't need to be. Deputy, Hale said, you are standing on the property of Isaiah Marcus Coleman. Bronze Star recipient. Former Army intelligence officer. Later assigned to Joint Federal Task Forces you don't have clearance to hear about. Hargreaves blinked. Kyle's mouth fell open. Isaiah's name sat in the air like a dropped weight. Hale took one step closer to the porch, stopping well short of the steps. For 12 years, Hale continued, Captain Coleman advised on domestic threat assessment. Trained law enforcement units across 5 states. Helped dismantle 3 extremist cells. 2 of which operated in this county. Kyle felt sick. Hargreaves' laugh came out thin. That's not possible. He stopped himself. An old habit almost slipped out. He fixes air conditioners, Hargreaves said instead. Isaiah nodded. Sure do. Hale didn't miss a beat. After honorable discharge, he chose a quiet life. No spotlight. No badge. No protection. That was his right. Hargreaves' hand dropped from his holster. The porch light hummed softly overhead. Isaiah felt something loosen in his chest. Not relief. Something closer to grief finally being seen. Hale turned his body just enough for Hargreaves to see the small black pin on his lapel. An eagle. Spread wings. Deputy Hargreaves, Hale said, do you know what happens when you treat a reporting party as a suspect based on nothing but fear and bias? Hargreaves swallowed. Sir, You violate policy, Hale said. You endanger a civilian. And you expose your department to federal review. Kyle's radio crackled again. Internal affairs en route, a voice said. Eat 2 minutes. Hargreaves' knees went weak. Kyle looked at Isaiah, shame flooding his face. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have said more. Isaiah met his eyes. You still can, Isaiah said quietly. Hargreaves turned red. This is ridiculous. He was uncooperative. Hale tilted his head. The footage says otherwise. He nodded toward Kyle's chest. And so does your own body cam. Hargreave looked like a man watching his house burn through a window he couldn't open. Neighbors began to step out now. Porch lights clicked on up and down the street. Phones came out. Whispers spread. The same people who had stayed silent minutes ago were watching everything. History was watching too. Isaiah finally lowered his hands. Slow, careful, deliberate. He stepped down one step, then another, until he stood level with Hargreave. The deputy flinched without realizing it. I didn't call you to prove who I was, Isaiah said. I called because I was scared. That hit harder than anger ever could. I buried my brother, Isaiah went on, and nobody ever answered for it. I live quiet because loud men don't live long where I've been. He looked around the street, at the watching faces. But quiet don't mean weak, he said. And black don't mean threat. Kyle nodded slowly, tears burning his eyes. Hargreave couldn't meet Isaiah's gaze. 2 more vehicles arrived. Marked. Unmarked. People stepped out with folders instead of guns. Hale stepped back, giving the space back to Isaiah. This will be handled, Hale said. Properly. Hargreave was escorted away from the porch. His shoulders slumped. His voice was gone. As he passed Isaiah, he tried to speak. Nothing came out. The porch light stayed on. The crowd thinned. Cars pulled away. Cicadas returned to full volume. Kyle lingered. I won't forget tonight, he said. I promise. Isaiah nodded. Then it meant something. Kyle left. Hale walked back toward the SUV, then paused. You could have burned the whole department, he said quietly. Why didn't you? Isaiah looked at his porch. At the light. At the steps his brother used to sit on. Because I still believe in what it's supposed to be, he said. Not what it is. Hale smiled sadly. That's why you were always better than the rest of us. He drove away. Isaiah stood alone on his porch again. Same wood. Same light. But the night felt different. He turned the porch light off. Then on again. Just to prove he could. And as the cicadas sang, Isaiah Coleman finally felt something close to peace. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. And tell us in the comments. Do you think quiet strength is more powerful than loud authority? Your voice matters.